Mhm.
Hello and welcome. My name is Julia Jardine and I'm part of the A Rocha team here in Melbourne. And I'm having a series of conversations about creation care and mission. And today I'm joined by Anna Radkovic, who has studied a master's degree in the environment and sustainability. And she now works with Cassinia Environmental in Kyneton. So I'm going to be hearing from Anna what faith and life as a Christian, creation care and mission looks like for her in her daily life in Kyneton, and how that drives her passion for God's global mission and his global work. And as we begin, Anna, why don't you tell us something a bit about your background and how that has driven the things in life that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I think I've always loved nature. Like Mum tells this story of when I was younger than 5 and like making little homes for the slaters in the back garden and then getting upset with Mum when she wouldn't let me bring them in at night because I was worried they'd get cold. So I think God's just put something in me that just loves his created world, and that's just been really defining for me throughout my life, whether that's getting into bird watching or getting into bugs or the work that I do now. I think it's kind of defined my choices throughout life. Yeah, and I think I've had the privilege as well to know Christians who are defined by what they care about and defined by what it means to follow God. I think, I was really privileged to grow up in a community of Christians that took their faith really seriously, including Christians that took their faith seriously by living missional lives out of love for the Creator and his creation. A Rocha was actually a big part of that. Like, I've been part of A Rocha since I was a young teenager, really. And I think knowing Christians where it's normal to love the environment meant that it was normal for me to love the environment as a Christian growing up.
And growing up, a lot of that time was in Africa, is that right?
Yeah, my folks were CMS missionaries in Kenya. And we lived in Nairobi, which is just a big, dirty city. But it meant all of our holidays were spent in game parks, chasing giraffes, or at the coast, snorkeling with beautiful fish. So, yeah, that's definitely added to my love for nature because I got to grow up in such an incredible place with such rich diversity.
I've seen a couple of ears flapping up.
Oh, yeah. I've got a little friend with me today. His name's Little Baby Ray, and he's a little rescue joey from one of our properties. His mum abandoned him, so we picked him up, and he's been with us ever since. He's our little Corona kangaroo of joy.
Yes.
He brings us a lot of happiness. Yeah.
You mentioned
snuggle back, he might put back up again.
You mentioned a property that you work on. Tell us a little bit about Cassinia Environmental and how your work there to glorify God and work out your faith.
Yeah, that's another massive privilege that outside of my control, like growing up in Kenya. But I have the honour to work for Cassinia Environmental, which is a environmental organisation where we take on landscape scale projects. We try and protect as much native biodiversity as we can, and we also do revegetation projects and kind of landscape restoration. We try and build biolinks in the landscape to connect up existing national parks. But most of what we do is just protecting the good bits that are left. So we have this kind of network of private national parks that kind of add to the existing system of government parks. Yeah, it's awesome. I just get paid to like plant trees and hang out in beautiful places. It's really good.
And it's motivated primarily through your faith and your boss's desire to look after creation and nature.
Yeah, definitely. My boss is a Christian. Not everyone on our team is Christian, but there's definitely Christian ethos defining what we do and why we do it. And it comes from a love for Creator and a recognition that he's been so generous to us. We want to be generous in return. And so that's what we do by protecting the bits we protect. Yeah, and I think God's been so generous to us in so many ways. And so it's nice to be able to do something that honours the creation that he's given to us. That's a big privilege.
And outside of work, in your church community and amongst your friendship group, how has your love for nature, your environmental management, your creation care, would you say has helped you point people to Jesus, or help people understand God better and have a deeper relationship with him?
Yeah, I think that having a thing that you care about and showing that you care about it makes it really easy to chat to people about other things that you care about and why you care. So, like, for example, caring about the environment, there's so many people that care for the environment and are really passionate about it. And having that kind of point of connection means that we can discuss what we care about, like the planet and nature and conservation. And then we all have different motivations of why we care. And we all respect that among my friend group anyway. And so, like, even though my friends don't necessarily share the reasons that I care about the planet, because they don't know God, they don't know the creator, but they're happy to listen to why I care, because I listen and respect to the reasons that they care about the planet. So you end up having really nice conversations about God and how he motivates a care for creation. And I think it goes the other way as well. So friends of mine who are Christians but don't care about enviro stuff, or at best they'd see creation care as like a side issue to the gospel. But because they know and love Jesus, and they know that I know and love Jesus, they're happy to listen to why I care for the planet, and then kind of biblical reasons undermine that, and how that plays out in my life as an act of worship to the creator, because I listen to the ways that they choose to love and follow Jesus in their own lives. And so I guess for both conversations, for the people who are environmentalists but not Christians, and the people who are Christians but not environmentalists, there's enough common ground in both those conversations to create this common trust that allows then conversations into different worldviews and values to kind of take place, which is super healthy. And it's really exciting when you see those play out.
And having discovered this link, or living the link between faith, mission, environment, how's that affected your personal life, or how does that play out in your personal choices and your daily walk with Jesus?
Yeah, I think when you choose to worship God by how you live, so once you've been saved by Jesus, you know that, you recognize that, and then you want to respond, like that just has to flow into your personal life and your lifestyle. And I think it's shaping me in ways that I don't even recognize. So thanks, Holy Spirit. There's still things that I have to be super deliberate about, especially little things, and when I'm feeling lazy, things like reducing plastic and composting and all those things that it's like, it's good to do, but such a small piece of the big picture, and we know they're good and we should do them. But, sometimes it's hard to do them. But there's some things that I've only noticed in retrospect that I've made decisions about that I'm like, oh, that was like an enviro thing. And that's really cool. And that's like, I'm building a tiny house at the moment, and that I didn't even really think through as an environmental thing. But then when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's such a good contribution to reducing, my impact on the planet by consuming less, by having this smaller space to live in. So I didn't do that deliberately, and I don't think of myself as an environmentalist actually, which is quite funny. It definitely doesn't like define my identity. Being loved by Jesus and obeying his call to follow him, that defines me. But God's definitely given me a love for his created world that I can't explain. And that's just, and so I'm going to do something about that. I'm not going to ignore that. That's a real thing that defines me.
And it's great when the motivation comes from the heart, isn't it? Rather than coming from guilt over
exactly
issues, but it's coming from a place of hope and love, and desire to please God and to worship him, which just makes it so exciting as part of our discipleship journey that it's all wrapped up there. And how, and within your life, presumably this also, because environmental problems are local and global, God's mission, local and global, that having brought up in Africa, you're still very much passionate about God's global mission and what he's doing to draw people to himself.
Yeah.
So do you still have links back to Africa, and one day do you hope to go back, maybe?
Yeah, I was in Kenya earlier this year even, and then went up to Ethiopia for a few days because within Cassinia, the organisation I'm with at the moment, we're looking at doing some bigger projects in partnership with some people over there into revegetation. So that's pretty fun. We'd get to work with a bunch of local communities doing some project work over there. But yeah, I don't know what will happen with that one. I'm going to go to Bible college in the middle of this year. So I'm finishing up my role with Cassinia and then going to start at Ridley, just doing a diploma of theology, I think it's called. Haven't applied yet. But yeah, that's the plan. And I think part of that's motivated by, I care about the planet, and I spent, I don't know, 6 or 7 years kind of studying environmental stuff, and that's been really good for me. But I care even more about God. And so I want to spend at least a year studying the Bible so that I can have some tools for how to live for him better and be more intentional about that. And I think being in a country area has shown me the need for better theological training as well, rather than being in the city where there's a surplus of good resources.
And what encouragement would you give to people, or any tips, or what can people do if they're just beginning to explore this relationship between caring for God's planet and their relationship with God and their love for others? Can you point them in any directions or give them some encouragement?
Yeah, definitely. This is the bit I always enjoy. I think as people saved by God and called to be truly humans as we were created to be, not kind of the inhumans that sin makes us settle for. I think we're all invited to live lives that bring honor to God. We don't have to. God's gift is unconditional grace, saved by Jesus, but we get this opportunity to honor God. And that blows my mind, that anything we could do could bring glory to God. But then I see it play out, and I see my friends who don't know God soften and open up when they see me care for others in creation with Christ-like service. So the more Christ-like I try to be as I honor God, the more my friends notice that. And then caring for things that no one else cares for is exactly what God does, and it's exactly what we should do. And then I've seen that provide my friends with a glimpse of how good God is and how good it is to know him and follow him. And the Bible speaks again and again of caring for vulnerable and voiceless and fighting for justice. And caring for the planet is a matter of justice. It's made by God, and it's made good by God. And we were made to look after it. So we need to step up and be the humans God created us to be, people who care, not exploit, people who serve without hope of return, not people who want our best life now, and people who love generously rather than kind of hoarding selfishly. And nature can't speak for itself. So it's up to us to be caretakers of God's world, to speak for it. And there's so many poor and vulnerable people who are directly impacted by our environmental decisions. So even if you're not motivated by love of nature, like, be motivated by love for your neighbour. For me, like, above all, caring for creation is an opportunity for me to show God how much I appreciate this beautiful world that he's given me to live in, and how much I appreciate his love for me, which is most, perfectly seen through Jesus' death and resurrection on the cross. And every day God shows me, how much he loves this world and his people by the life he sustains in it, in all its dazzling diversity all around us. And it just blows my mind that all the incredible beauty of nature we enjoy now is like a glimpse of the glory to come. So that's really what motivates me and encourages me to live a life worthy of the calling we've received.
That's right, Anna. That is really encouraging. And I've loved having this conversation with you. It has been a real...
Yeah, thank you. It's been so nice to chat.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's probably all we've got time for, though. We could probably go on for ages, but thank you so much
probably true.
for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.